actually make a difference, or it's just sentimental?
Listen, I mean, the conversation is very good. The fact that people are on the streets in the UK, in New York, protesting and for Palestine is great. But I still feel like leaders have to play a bigger role. Because honestly, before Israel entered Al-Aqsa Mosque, they never think about Turkey. Before they enter Al-Aqsa Mosque, they never think about Saudi Arabia. Before they enter Al-Aqsa Mosque, they don't even think about Indonesia or Malaysia. They just went in. They went in with guns and tear gas. They don't think too much. They don't care. And I really hope, for the sake of Palestine, honestly, just before this live, I was on a different live and I was telling them, leaders have to start doing something. We can protest on the streets. We can do all kind in New York, in the UK, and it's all great for the conversation. It's great for awareness. But at this point in our history, in our history, we have to do something about it.
If you have an audience with the Malaysian Prime Minister, and the topic of discussion is the situation in Palestine, what would you tell them?
Honestly, I would say send troops. Send troops. Get the UN involved and go in there and send troops. If the Arab, can you imagine if the Arab League? You're talking about Turkey, Saudi, and then you have the OIC. If every member of OIC sends the troop inside Palestine, I guarantee you Israel will not go in. If I had a meeting with the Prime Minister, or if for whatever reason that I'm in a position to influence people's leaders, I would say go in. This is the time now to go in. We can't have discussions over and over again. Wait for 3 more weeks while Palestine is getting bombed by Israel. You know.
CAPRICE, tell us about the ongoing social media campaigns here in Malaysia. I see a lot of hashtags, a lot of tweets, and I'm sure the same applies to Instagram and Facebook, although outlets keep on deleting Palestinian content, but there is more content coming up. Tell us about
it. Alhamdulillah. I mean, my friend and I, Mirfly, we made a song because we were angry when we saw the guy on Twitter say "Koya you too," and that just went viral. And it's been a great momentum just for my social media, for people on my social media. We're actively educating the public about what's going on. We even brought a person from Israel last night on IG Live to just have a discussion with the Israeli person. And I think that conversation is very, very important. Hashtags, having the whole people going to the streets and marching in the US or in the UK is all great. And I think if you see on TikTok, people are being brave to express their solidarity, their support for Palestine. But at the same time, it's a two-edged sword, my brother. There's a lot of content on TikTok that supports Israel. There's so much. It's a pros and cons about social media. You see some great things being promoted, but then you see all the twists in the media and then people that actually support what they're doing over there, which is sick and scary. But you know, it's if they fight back, we fight back. No problem.
Koya, the hashtag Koya Israel has been picking a lot of following, and in Palestine, I'm not sure if you've seen the video. A little Palestinian was telling the Israeli soldier Koya. So
I saw that, man. I saw that. MashaAllah.
It's reaching people there, and it makes a difference actually. It's the moral war that we have to win first, and people there are waiting for such solidarity and support. So tell us more about Koya, Israel.
I agree. If we can't go to war, if we can't physically go to Palestine and send troops, we have to fight them with a mental war, social media war. Is the best way we can that could be the front line. TikTok is the front line, Facebook is the front line, Instagram is the front line, because everyone nowadays is on social media, right? And I'm pretty sure that kid, the one that says Koya in Palestine, that kid, I'm pretty sure he saw that word somewhere on social media. Maybe he saw it on Twitter, or Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. I'm sure that kid saw it somewhere, The fact that a kid in Palestine can say Koya in Palestine, that's powerful, bro. MashaAllah, that's very powerful. You know, you don't understand. 10 years ago, this would never happen because we don't have TikTok, social media 10 years ago. But now, it's there.
The news from the CNN, the BBC, and a few other mainstream channels, they were telling the world their own narrative. Today, people don't actually need mainstream media. People can open their smartphones, click a few buttons, and see the news live. And
even the Israeli Defense Force, the official account of the Israeli Defense Force. We're talking about the official account. They got a blue tick. He even said Malaysian trolls are bullshit. That means he saw the army, the Malaysian Bawang army, the Malaysian, I don't know if you know what Bawang means, onion, the netizens of Malaysia actually forced a reaction from the Israeli Defense Force.
Yes.
That's crazy. That means some guy from the Israeli Defense Force saw all our tweets and he got affected that he had to reply. You know what I mean?
Yes, and that's why we need Malaysians to continue to troll these websites and to play a role. It's a struggle, and you don't have to fly to Palestine to join that struggle. You can do it from here using your smartphone. Let me bring into our discussion a friend from Gaza, from Palestine, Brother Isam Adwan, who will be joining us to talk about the situation in Palestine. So one of having these social media outlets is that we can get people from Palestine right straight away. Assalamu alaikum, Isam.
Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing?
Walaikum salam.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I'll get also Haji Azmi, Chigo Azmi from Malaysia as well to make this discussion broader. The more the merrier. We have Chigo Azmi, Abdul Hamid, he is also a Malaysian activist. Brother Isam, you are from We Are Not Numbers. We want to hear from you about your initiative. Let me also welcome Chigo Azmi first. Ahlan wa sahlan, Chigo. In our discussion, we are now having two Malaysian activists and a Palestinian activist from inside Palestine. And PICOM is very honored to have all of you on this session. And I know there have been a lot of discussions going on online, a lot of webinars, live streaming. I was in a webinar with friends from Bangladesh moments ago. I know you also are involved in many webinars and live streams. CAPRICE was with Mahathir just now. We hope that this short session will add some significant value to those who are listening to us and tuning to this discussion. We are trying to highlight what's going on in Palestine and its reflection here in Malaysia. The ripples of what's happening in Gaza aren't here in Gaza only. They are also here in Kuala Lumpur. The attacks on Palestinians in Bab al-Amud or in Sheikh Jarrah are not affecting the Palestinians in Bab al-Amud and Sheikh Jarrah only, but are also having effect here in Kuala Lumpur. Isam, tell us about the situation in Palestine. Update us first about the ongoing developments there. Tafadhal.
First, thank you, brothers and sisters, to invite me to be here with you. I'm really grateful seeing, and it really gives me hope seeing all these efforts from Malaysia, and now we're seeing people are campaigning all over the world, demanding sanctions to be imposed on Israel. Those things are giving us hope to continue being resilient and to continue with this fight that has been ongoing for the past 73 years. First, for those who don't know me, my name is Isam Adwan. I'm 27 and I work as the project manager of a youth initiative started from Gaza, named We Are Not Numbers. We Are Not Numbers is basically a youth of writers. We started with a mission to write the untold stories behind numbers in the news. We started back in 2015, directly after the war of 2014. And currently, for the past 5 years, we have been able to produce more than 1,000 articles, published 2 books, worked on 35 short documentaries, 2 of them won international awards. And we have significant contributions and partnerships all over the world with publishing houses, with electronic newspapers, TV channels, and so many other media outlets that could possibly share the narrative and amplify the voices of Palestinians. So the situation, as you have been witnessing, and I know Malaysia has been so close to Palestine a long time ago, supporting the cause, supporting the people, also donating to those people who are suffering here on the ground. And I'm really thankful for every efforts possible that is given to us. As you have been following for the past 2 weeks, the
Sorry, sir. Can you speak a bit? Can you speak a bit louder? The people can't really hear you.
Okay, حاضر. So as you have been following for the past 2 weeks, the ongoing aggression on Palestine, on the Palestinians, on a Palestinian land, like what happened in Sheikh Jarrah, when the Israeli court ordered the evictions, the forceful expulsions of 6 Palestinian homes, signifies the ongoing brutality, the ongoing ethnic cleansing and uprooting of Palestinians and Palestinian identity, which also resulted to move this movement to the streets of Gaza. And we have to respond in a way or another to protect the Palestinian identity and the Palestinian existence as well. For people who don't know, and for people who lack, I would say, the knowledge enough that we are not being killed during this war, only during those wars. We are being killed on a daily basis here in Gaza. For instance, on the context of Gaza itself, we have been sieged for the past 15 years with an absolute policy to kill and to suffocate every norm of a human being's existence. We barely have drinkable water. Our electricity is available for a few hours a day. People are dying because of poverty. People are dying because they don't have food to feed their children. People are dying because they are denied the right to travel to Palestinian lands, to Palestinian hospitals, to Egyptian hospitals as well for medical concerns. People are dying in so many different ways. And those brutal wars that we have faced so far in 2008, 2012, 2014, and now it's just an indication of this ongoing aggressive attacks on Gaza, on Palestinians, as what happened in Sheikh Jarrah, as what's still happening in Sheikh Jarrah, also in the context of the West Bank and the Palestinian occupied territories. It is happening daily. What happened in Sheikh Jarrah, it happens every day. The Israeli theft of land, forceful expulsions of Palestinians, denying also the people of the diaspora to return to their homes and villages, which their grandparents forcibly expelled since 1948. So to sum this up, what we are trying to work on is raising awareness that what you see right now is no different of what we have been suffering alone for the past 73 years since the very first day of the Nakba. We have witnessed massacres committed since then. We have witnessed killing and intentional targeting of children and women and media. So what I would like people to know, and what I would like people to work on amplifying, that people are dying. If they're not dying because of those bombs, if they're not dying because of those bullets, as what happens in the West Bank nowadays, they're dying because they are being occupied. They're dying because they don't have jobs. They are dying because they don't see any hope in the horizon, because the political parties and the representation of the Palestinian administration, they failed us. We have been paying those heavy prices with our blood, with our souls, with our children, with our homes, with our security, with our lives as well. We have been paying those heavy prices, and for what? For an absolute silence from the international community. And not only silence, I'm talking about on the context of the international community, they are not only silent, they are funding Israel. The US administration is funding Israel over $3.8 billion directly going to fund the occupation, to militarize and to equip them with more advanced warplanes, with more advanced bombardment. This is what actually happens. They are not only remaining silent to our death. And that is why I believe, I'm working day by day. My whole life is devoted, because I have been living this my entire life. After 73 years of this inhumane occupation of this apartheid regime, and after 27 years of my life living those harsh circumstances, and I'm telling you, my circumstances, they are way better than tens of thousands of people here in Gaza. I have food. My house is still standing. My children are not dying. My women, family, they are still alive. And I know tens of thousands of people, they are not living the same, I mean, the same conditions as I do. And to talk on this international community, they're not only remaining silent towards our suffering. They're funding, they're supporting, they're providing full impunity for all these human rights violations found in Gaza, in the West Bank, in the diaspora as well. So I would like to call, and this is the end of my presence, I would like to call to use the proper words towards the context itself. It's not a conflict, it's not an escalation, and those happening in the West Bank, they're not evictions. This is an ongoing aggressive attacks, ongoing ethnic cleansing, ongoing murdering of Palestinian innocents, land theft, and so many other terms that would be fit for the prices that we're paying. So I believe the so-called neutrality of media outlets and international organizations, those are just different forms of humanization. Those are no different than the occupation itself. If you want to be neutral, just give us and use the words proper for my death, for the suffering of my children, for the death of all these innocent people. Don't use it's a matter of a conflict or a confrontation, because it's not. Talk about the results. Until so far, the Ministry of Health has reported the death of 194 people, including 60 of them children.
Sam, I want you to talk further about the latest martyrs, especially in the last 2 days, the families that were exterminated. We'll come back to you in a few minutes. We want to bring into our discussion our Chego, our good friend and teacher, Chego Azmi Abdhamid, a Malaysian activist who has visited Gaza, who has visited Palestine several times, and who has been launching campaigns in support of Palestine. So, Chego Azmi, I want you to come into the discussion, and there are many issues that Brother Isam has just raised. Earlier, Brother CAPRICE has also touched on some important issues. I want you to tell us, what can Malaysians do? There are now official efforts, there are campaigns by NGOs, and there are individual activities, including on social media. What can the Malaysian people do? 32 million Malaysians in 13 states. What is expected from them?
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Brother Muslim and two brothers. I think that a lot has been done, but there's too many things that should be done. I mean, when we start to measure some of our impact, so I feel that there's really more space, there's really more things that we can creatively do. I was just amazed about all these things about you're talking about the trolls of, you know, this is something new to me. I'm not in that era. But again, it is really, you give that hope that there is President, we are not alone. There's things that we are doing here in Malaysia. What are the things that have been done? I mean, for the last 20, 30 years since the Palestine issue has been brought up, I remember my old lady and Uncle S.M. Muhammad Idris, those are personalities way back in 1950s, and they were the ones that started all this. And I think the impact was much greater when we start going to the government and tell the government that what Malaysia is standing for is correct, that we are not recognizing Israel. That's a lot more that we can do to influence the international forum. So I think on that part, there's a lot has been done on talking to the government that, look, you know, we have to be firm, we have to voice out, we have to play our role in the international forum. But as you would understand, not much what I call change that we hope that happened. But anyway, at the ground level, the Malaysians has picked up this quite well. They have been internalizing this the feeling of pain, agony, the ordeals that have been gone through by the Palestinians. I think the heart and soul of Malaysians are now right locked down in the Palestinian issue. It's just that how do we make it more visible, in a way that A lot of people are now going to many forums, to many street demonstrations, and then we are making a lot of meetings from time to time, and we're making all these plans. I think that's very important. But the more important thing that the nation can do is to keep our work more coordinated and more focused. I mean, we have a lot of things that we want to do, but if you're not really focused and we do not have a good strategy, whether it's a media strategy, whether it's a real action, whether we are doing all memorandums, whether we are pushing our views, it has to be done in a way that, you know, will have that high impact. And another thing that Malaysia is now quite, you know, advanced in its work on Palestine, that we are able to gather a lot of groups, you know, doing different things. What we need is only to have this coordination. You know, people are focusing on so many things. We have the BDS, we have the humanitarian, we have the advocacy, we have the healthcare, we have projects that have always come to us, and we are trying to say to our brothers, look, can you attend to this project, or can you fundraise for this project? So I think it's marvelous to that. We are feeling the heat of the campaign in Malaysia. But if you look at the profile of people getting active in the Malaysian campaigns for Palestine, it is still a lot of things that we can improve. I mean, if you have the intellectuals, you have the professionals, you have the politicians, you have the student movement, you have the masses at the masjid level, I think there's a lot of things we can improve on all these levels, and you know, measuring our impacts from time to time. So I think what Malaysia has been trying to do has got quite a momentum in a way, you know. Now with the recent situation, which is more grave, and the situation is really, you know, this is really beyond our imagination. I mean, I thought I saw the worst in 2009, in 2012, in 2014. This is, you know, the worst of the kind that I've seen. Even I'm here. After 2009, I was like every 3 months I was in Gaza, and I saw the devastation. But looking at what you can see in real time now, every minute, every hour, you feel that, you know, what we are doing is still small in Malaysia. So my conclusion is that when you ask me, a Muslim, what can Malaysian people do? I think we have to really, you know, go through the things that we're doing. A lot of things that have been now coming to us, information about the urgency of, you know, situation that people do not have homes, and the schools have been destroyed, the streets are destroyed. So we are trying to list it down and, okay, let's do this between us. Okay, who's going to focus on the infrastructure, who's going to focus on health? But more than that, I think Malaysia is coming up with now a lot of debates, and the Prime Minister has already given it very strong, although there's some things that I'm a bit, you know, not that comfortable with the position. But anyway, we have that spirit. You know, we are gathering Brunei and Indonesia with us. We are having the same position. And just now, when I saw the Ministry of Foreign Affairs meeting of the OIC, I was quite happy to see strong words coming out. But as the brother just now, the other one said, it's not enough. You know, strong words are not enough. We need real action. And this is a moment when just a few hours ago, we got the news that Israel is threatening even Malaysia. They are hunting down people in Malaysia. That gives that kind of you know, signal to us. Now the whole 32 million people should be together. We're going to fight this battle with Palestinians. Now the battleground is not only in Gaza, it's not only in Jerusalem, it's now going abroad. And I think this gives us that push that no, we are ready to be with the Palestinians, even what happens to us. And that is in a way a strong signal, although it's going to be very serious. I mean, they killed our brother Dr. Fadi 2 years back, meaning that they are giving us some kind of indication that, you know, we can hit you anytime we want. Meaning also that, you know, Israel, you're not going to just sit down on our backside. We're going to just make sure that the whole people know that Israel is a danger for the world. It's not only the danger for Palestinians, it's going to, like, you know, going everywhere around the world. And this is a time where Malaysians have to back up the politicians, the ulamas, the society, we have come together using all the might that we have. That 2 million, I think, will give the impact. This is our hope. Thank you.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Chigu. I'll come back to you if you stay with us. Caprice, I want to ask you, some of the public influencers shy away from talking about the Palestinian issue. Yes, there have been some vigorous voices. You're one of them. Thank you so much for raising your voice on this issue. But not only in the Malaysian context, but internationally, there are some celebrities, some Arab celebrities, for instance, really popular footballers, artists who have been silent. And some of them, because of public pressure, they started to post their photos with Al-Aqsa Mosque without any words. Why do you think these figures are silent? Is there much to lose when you just criticize a brutal occupation?
It depends on it. I guess for me, I've always been a fighter. I've been on a jihad for the 7 years, so it's easy for me to voice out. For better or for worse, I've always been very vocal on my social media. But it is a bit disappointing when you see a lot of Muslim influential figures who have not raised their voice on this issue. Sometimes silence is telling something. I feel like sometimes when people are silent, it shows really where you stand. When it comes to promoting your movie or your music, you're loud. When it comes to promoting your tudong or your fashion, you're loud. But when your own brothers and sisters in Palestine are being murdered, if you're quiet, for me, there's something wrong with you. But at the same time, I don't force any of my Muslim friends to get on social media and voice out. But I hope that for the sake of life is short. It's not just about money or views or a paycheck or getting your salary. Life is always about, before I die, how much impact can I leave behind before I die? That's how I lead my life, right? And I hope that more influencers or celebrities out there in Malaysia or in the Arab world don't just think about dunya. If we just passed by Ramadan, we did our ibadah in Ramadan, and I hope that other artists or influencers who went through their ibadah in Ramadan, it doesn't stop at Ramadan. It should always be ongoing for the whole year. And I do hope that more artists voice out. It's just very sad when an artist is quiet, especially when you are very, very influential. But I guess, it is what it is. I cannot force someone to fight for something. It has to come from your heart. Like for me, my jihad came from my heart. It's not something that we try to emulate. It has to come from your heart. I believe if you're just doing it, if you have to force yourself to support, I rather don't want to see that. You know what I mean? I'd rather see someone who really want to support the Palestinians. And so I don't really care, to be honest, bro, about if an artist in the Middle East are not loud. I don't really care if my fellow artists in Malaysia are not loud. For me, it depends on the individual.
I really salute that you are always speaking truth to power, at least your convictions. What amazes me is that in some places you speak truth to power, you lose certain privileges. But in certain places, if you talk about the Israeli brutality, if you criticize Israel, you're actually going to be celebrated as a hero. But there are still celebrities, influencers, influential people in all circles, in political circles, in civil society, in other circles, staying in their comfort zone. We don't force them.
But at the same time, with all due respect, as much as we are influencers, as much as we are artists, the truth of the matter is the truth. The bare minimum truth of the matter is the leader that has the power to send troops, the leader, our Muslim leaders that has the power to send troops, to enforce policies. Those are the ones that we should pressure. We should not pressure artists to talk. We should pressure our leaders, do something. MashaAllah, you are a leader. You are a general. You are the leader of a country. You are the leader of a Muslim population. Please do something. We should pressure the leaders. Not the influencers and artists have no or little role in action. We can make things go viral. It's great. But imagine if a leader, a Muslim leader, go out there now. We are sending troops to Al-Aqsa. We are sending aid to Al-Aqsa. We are sending. That is what I want to hear. That is what we should hear by now. I've been hearing this Palestinian crisis since I was 10 years old, right? I lived in Jordan. I lived in Jordan for 3 years. When I was in Jordan for 3 years, it was still an ongoing conflict. I'm 32 now. How long is that? How long is that? When was the last time?
Beyond that, of course, you know what you're saying is important. Sometimes during an ongoing crisis like this one, the political statements are important. Sometimes political rhetoric isn't very effective, but during an ongoing onslaught, if a president, a prime minister, a government, a collective institution issues a warning, a real warning, it actually has an impact. Israel will think twice before carrying out its next attack.
My brother. Okay, my brother. To my guy in Palestine. When was the last time a Muslim country officially sent people there? Give me one.
None.
Probably
Come again?
1973, probably.
No.
Say that one more time. I can't hear you, sir.
73?
None. Zero.
None. Yeah, absolutely.
My brother, that is telling. You don't need an artist to voice out. We elected leaders, we elected Muslim leaders to not just voice out, but take action. Take action. Israeli took action to enter Al-Aqsa. They took action to enter Al-Aqsa. Where's all my Muslim leaders? Where's all the Muslim leaders that has the power to do something?
Where is our action? I totally agree. 57 OIC member states. NAM is way larger than that. Where's our action? Isam, I'll come back to you. I want you to tell us more. There are many questions that our audience are expecting answers to. But tell us first about the latest development. There was a tremendous, terrible airstrikes, big number of casualties. And these are not numbers, certainly not numbers. Some of the videos are heart-wrenching. I, a Palestinian who grew up in occupied Palestine, who lived through the first and the second Intifada, could not watch some of these videos. It's just sad. It's just, the father who was kissing the corpses, the dead bodies of two little children. That's beyond imagination. You're living through that right now. Tell us about what's happening.
On every war in Gaza, we have witnessed, I would say, a horror level of brutality. That Israel is intentionally targeting civilians, units, residential buildings, infrastructure, hospitals, and everything that is internationally prohibited and considered as a war crime. In 2012, it happens the same with an increase of a bloodthirst by Israel. They're targeting more people, they're targeting children, women, and everything possible to kill us. In 2014, it happens the same with an increase of the level of brutality. Now in 2021, we're witnessing, I would say, a strange level, inhumane level of inhumanity, of brutality, of aggressive attacks on Gaza. What happened yesterday, for instance, during the night, Israel has launched vast attacks, bombardment on specific neighborhoods, dense areas, residential buildings, towers, and of towers of at least 10 roofs. Each roof contains 3 to 4 apartments of innocent people. They bombed entire towers for at least 40. They only give them 1 minute, 2 minutes to evacuate. Only 1 minute, 2 minutes to evacuate. What happened in the street, in Al-Wahda street, for instance, yesterday, This street was bombed. It is one of the most dense streets in the center of Gaza. One of the most dense streets. They kept bombing this street and the houses in that street for more than 4 hours. Continuous bombing every single minute. You know what? They didn't only bomb those houses and kill those people. They bombed the main roads to that neighborhood. And not only that, they bombed the main roads going to the hospital itself. No ambulances were able to out. No ambulances would be able to get back to the hospital. So if people did not die because of the bombing itself, people died under the rubble, alive. And there are entire families. From yesterday, the Ministry of Health officially reported that Israel killed and wiped out 10 entire families. Nobody lived. Nobody lived, not a single one. And now, earlier, like before I talked to you, I didn't have even the time. I didn't have even the time to feel grief and to feel sad upon the death and the murder of my friend, Dua al-Hitta, and her entire family. The only one left is a 10-year-old boy who was protected by the dead body of his father. Those are the harsh realities. This is the insane brutality that we're witnessing. Every single bombing happening, and we don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be bombed in this live. If my children are safe at this very moment, I am not. Nobody is. There is no shelter for people to go. What we have witnessed yesterday.
We make our prayers that you will be safe, inshallah, you and your family. But
yesterday,
I know this question might sound naive. My question might sound naive, but why is Israel doing this? I understand Israel wants to control Gaza, wants to control Palestine, but why is Israel bombing roads, hospitals, mosques, and commercial buildings?
Yeah, this is a very important question. Why Israel is increasing and showing more bloodthirst, Palestinian bloodthirst? Because we have been bargained for the past 15 years, and I'm telling you literally, we have been bargained for the past 15 years to remain silent. If we remain silent, Israel would generously grant us few of our rights, few of rights to travel, few of rights and a few families to go to Jerusalem for medical concerns or to travel through Egypt, few rights of a few hours of electricity, a few rights related to using natural resources, and so many other levels that consider crumbs of rights. And if we protested, if we shot rockets, if we acted as means of self-defense, if we showed solidarity to what nowadays happens in East Jerusalem and in all around Palestine, in Sheikh Jarrah started, if we did that, we will face fatal death, brutality, bombing of innocent people. You know what is the difference between the previous wars and this war? The previous wars, okay, they bombed civilians, that's true, but they didn't intentionally target towers. And I mean by towers because Gaza is so small. It's 365 square kilometers, and there is no space for everybody to live in a separate house. That is why the most dense residential buildings are towers, which contain of at least 50 families. 50 families, and you know they've been targeting those, mainly those. So until so far, for the first day, for instance, for the first 2 days of this aggressive assaults on Gaza, 6 towers were bombed. So imagine six towers were bombed. So we're talking about 400 families. They have nowhere. They have no place to go. You know, there is no shelter.
Wiped out one whole village. The whole village is
exactly
rounded to the ground.
Gaza is very small, is very, very small. You know what they did also, other than targeting those towers? They targeted the main roads. So people cannot move. People will die under the rubble. People will die of this strange gas that we don't identify. We don't know this gas, where it comes from. But it's a thick, poisonous gas in those bombed areas. We don't know what is going on. People are, as I told you, Dua, for instance, and I heard from her relatives that she didn't die because of the bombardment. She died
trying while calling her family to save her children. Her children died, of course. The only one left, as I told you, the 10-year-old boy. Because of the dead body of his father, he protected him. And this is what we have to face. We have to face utter brutality, massacres committed.
When Israel enjoys impunity, this is the kind of price we have to pay. So chemical gases are being used now, bombarded from sea, air, and land, massacres of families, destruction of roads, and an ongoing police brutality also in Jerusalem and in the rest of Palestine.
And not only on the level of civilians itself, the civilians themselves, they have been targeting since day one. They have been targeting towers which contains media, international organizations, and media agencies. They don't want those images and those videos and those news to come out of Gaza. This ongoing genocide, it hurts them very much. That is why we're trying to tell everybody all over the world that it is very important to shed the light on the massacres committed, to share those names of the people died, because they are not numbers. Those people died, they paid a heavy price of their souls, of their families wiped out of the map, and we hope their blood is not going in vain.
Inshallah. Thank you, Hassan. I still want to know more about your feelings as a Palestinian and your expectations from our friends here in Malaysia. I've been here for several years. I've seen the amount of solidarity, support, and genuine sincerity that Malaysian people have shown to the Palestinians. But what do you expect from Malaysia and the Malaysian people?
I'm certain there is nothing to be demanded from Malaysia. Malaysia has been very supportive since the day of Nakba. We recognize that, we appreciate that. But let me give you straightforward facts and important messages, not only to Malaysians, but to everybody who's listening all over the world, because it's important to know what should be done to help the Palestinians. And I've been questioned this question so many times I lost counting. What could be done to help the Palestinians? First, and I'm generally speaking, not about the Malaysians. First, stop being ignorant, because people are paying heavy prices to get you those stories alive. Second, listen to those stories from Palestinians, not about Palestinians. Listen to them, not about them. Don't listen to whosoever you as journalist or a journalist from UK who has absolutely nothing to do with our cause, who understands or she understands nothing about our suffering. Listen to us, listen to our stories. Third, and the most important part, and we have seen a significant change and development on the third part, which is try to enforce your governments to act, because they are the people in power. I know that the people have the power to determine the policies of the governments, but still, we the people of different countries, we are still failing to force our governments to act upon our will. This is happening in the US administration, for instance. People, the citizens of the US, they don't recognize, they don't even know that their taxes are contributing to this occupation. $3.8 billion paid of taxes to Israel. So either they like it or not, either they acknowledge it or not, they are contributing to this genocide. So at the very least, let's have the courtesy, let's have the decency to ask your governments where your taxes are going. At the very least, and the fourth important part, now we are witnessing an increase and development of social media as means of resistance. That is why we are seeing people campaigning everywhere. People are campaigning in the US, in the UK, in Malaysia, in Arab countries, in Palestine. They are campaigning, demanding the governments to impose sanctions on Israel. And at the very least, to hold the impunity that Israel has for the past 73 years since the very first day of the Nakba. So at the very least, go on to protest. Ask your governments to condemn those massacres committed, because they are the people in power. You're not. But I believe, and I'm certain, I'm a great believer of the power of the people. If they showed great faith that they can change the policies of the governments, trust me, this occupation would not even last for the next month. We have been paying, and this solidarity and this campaigning all over the world, it did not happen randomly. It did not happen by the coincidence. We have been paying our blood. I mean, expensive. It is so much expensive price to get you those stories. We've learned different languages. Myself, I've started in 2011 to learn this English language because I felt the responsibility to tell those stories. As many other people, as more than 200 writers in We Are Not Numbers, we are telling the untold stories behind numbers in the news. And many of them, they have relatives died. Many of them, they have homes bombed. Many of them left Gaza because they have absolutely no future in. Those are the heavy prices we paid, and we are seeing significant change, and we hope this change is not going in vain.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Hassam. Inshallah, this change will happen soon, inshallah, and we all appreciate the efforts that you're doing. We pray that Allah will protect you, your family, and the rest of the Palestinians, inshallah. We have a few minutes left in our show. I want to hear from Chigo Azmi and then CAPRICE. Chigo, Israel has issued warnings or threats that is going to target Palestinians in some Muslim countries. Turkey, Malaysia, Qatar probably, and a few other countries. It seems that Israel has, because it enjoys impunity, it seems that Israel is not interested in peace. Some Arab countries have signed peace agreements with Israel, but it seems that Israel is not a country that wants peace. What do you think?
Yeah, Israel does not even know what peace is. It's not in the vocabulary of Israel. It's out of the box when you talk about let's negotiate, let's have a peace deal, because it's not within their framework of thinking. The only thought in my mind is really to take over the whole of Palestine, even broaden it, with the greater Israel project. Of course, when the Israel's, this might not be maybe the first time when it announced that it will mobilize the intelligence, the Shin Bet, and the Mossad to start going all around. They've been doing that a lot of times. They've killed so many, assassinated so many. But this time around, I think the pinch is so hard that they are feeling it. They are feeling the pinch from all these uprisings of people, from Muslims, even non-Muslim. You have got demonstration in Paris, in London, in Brussels, in Germany. It shocked them in a way. So that is why, all of a sudden, out of desperation, they start, making this announcement that we are going to hunt down you all over the world. But why are they so arrogant in the way that they want to announce that? Is it because they have a big brother? They have a power that is really behind that, having the audacity of saying that, they have the right of defense. It's enough for us to know why Israel is able to say that we're going to go around the world and, locate all the so-called their enemies. But then again, when you ask me, why do they want peace? As I said, there's no way they are thinking about peace. And my conclusion is that, Israel is one small US and US is one big Israel. That's my formula. Israel is the smaller US.
The strong will not be strong forever. Yes, the US is very strong.
So with that, with that scenario, they are trying to show the world that you can't do a damn thing, even government. For that instance, what Brother Sham and also CAPRICE has said, it's the government that makes the decision. It's the government that really can push. I believe that's so. But governments also will wait for the people. If there's not enough pressure from the people, the government is not going to move. And if they move, they are going to just measure, their popularity. So let's say that we're going to push you, because if you don't do it and your political career will end, let's do it then. Let's not wait for the government. We have to really push and push and push until they make that decision we want. So that is very important for us to do within this civil society. But I agree that Isham, you are saying a lot of things that people are, comfortable with that ignorance. They feel that, it's not my problem. Okay, we can give you some donation, but that's all. We're not going to be involved more than that. But this we have to crack this, I think it's time that we fully use whatever platform we have, and that this mobilization will become a great momentum. And the game changer is when, as I agree with you, is the government taking this very crucial action and decision of, okay, let's help the resistance, let's arm them, let's do all this kind of very important decision.
Thank you. Thank you, Chego. We have very few minutes left. Caprice, your message to the Palestinians and your message to Israel.
To my brother from Palestine, my prayers are always with you. I mean, the best thing that we can do as a Muslim, if we can't directly be there, is always dua and make prayers. Inshallah, hopefully sometime in the near future, the army will be there physically to protect my fellow Palestinians. Inshallah, that's my prayers are always with you. And Malaysia, I truly believe Malaysia will always be behind you. And even more so now on social media, with the power of social media, I believe we have made a lot of the Israeli Defense Force angry. We made a lot of Israeli people to understand the meaning of koya. We made a lot of Israeli understand the power of social media from Malaysians. And inshallah, one day, if I ever get the position to do more, the first place I'll be will be in Al-Aqsa, inshallah.
Inshallah, hopefully. Final word, Isam from Gaza.
Thank you, guys. I'm trying to follow the comments because I'm interested to show to understand the react of people from Malaysia. All I'm saying is love, and I'm really grateful for this. And I will work so hard. If you're following the channels of We Are Not Numbers, we will work so hard to cover the follow-ups of Gaza and the events and the news of Gaza. I'm really thankful for the hard work and for inviting me to be here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Our dear friends watching, and Fouez as well. Follow the pages that are in this conversation. We're Not Numbers, Caprice, Chico Azmi, Pcom page. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. We will join you in another discussion very soon, probably tomorrow night. This is Muslim Imran from Kuala Lumpur. Free Palestine. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.